How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Hello. We are live from the winter meetings, and Pete Alonso signing with the Baltimore Orioles. Wow. Okay, then. I am processing this as this is going through everything. Everyone is reacting to this here at the winter meetings. I am here live at the winter meetings. And the Baltimore Orioles, they have got themselves their big power bat they've been looking for. This is a great move for the Orioles. Wow, this is absolutely fantastic. Everyone, if you can, really quick, just hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. We are going live here as we speak to react to this. Wow. Here we go. Let's go pull this up here. Oh, this was reported by Jeff Passan. Here we go. I believe this was Jeff Passan. No, it was Joel. Was it Joel Sherman? I can't find who. I'm sorry, everybody. We're just doing this on the fly here. I had to run and find a seat in the lobby here. Here we go. Let's pull this up. Okay. All right, Pete Alonso, 5-year deal. I think 155. Wow. Unbelievable. That is crazy. The Orioles get their big bat that they've been looking for. And there's a couple of different angles here. Well, now he is officially no longer a New York Met. I'm sure Mets fans are not going to be happy about that one. And the Red Sox were a big team that were being listed for Pete Alonso here. And the Orioles come out on top. They get the big power bat they were looking for. They were looking at Kyle Schwarber. They matched the offer for him. He ended up taking going back to the Phillies. And the Orioles made the pivot. And good for the Orioles. Good for the Orioles to go out there and get the bat they've been looking for. Going to get that big productive bat for the middle of the order. And taking a look here at this lineup. This is a really good-looking lineup right now. You got Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, Adley Rutschman batting fifth, Taylor Ward, who they've added. Look at all the pop the Orioles have in this lineup. Don't forget they added Taylor Ward at the beginning of the offseason. You got so much more power in this lineup now. I mean, you have a good chance of that you just added 70 home runs to your lineup. That I think is at least I think you could say 60. That is unbelievable for the Baltimore Orioles here. Wow. Very good move here for the Orioles. To me, I think they need to go after some pitching here next. That's what I think they need to really get that top of the rotation established with Trevor Rogers up there. He had a great breakout year this past year with the Orioles. Bradish is going to be coming back. You do have a couple of solid guys at the back end, like Kramer, Wells, Povich can do some things. But I think you need to add something if you're the Orioles. But this is what they needed to do here, ladies and gentlemen. They had a disappointing year this past year. They had a lot of injuries this past year. And now you got a guy with Pete Alonso who's been very durable in his career. That is one thing to keep in mind with him. Not only is he going to give you that power, but he's going to basically play every day. He's a guy that's just been in that lineup every single day for how long we can recall now with him. Wow. This Orioles lineup, as a Red Sox fan, I am not very happy about this. There's a couple of things that I'm personally not happy about. Obviously, not getting Alonso, but now we have to face Alonso in this division. If you're the Red Sox, this is a nightmare situation. Absolute nightmare of a situation for the Red Sox. What are they going to do next? What is going to be the next domino to fall? Alonso to the Red Sox made a lot of sense. And in the end, the Orioles, they're out there looking to spend some money. And good for Mike Elias to go out there and go make the move. To go out there and go get something done. You go back the last couple of years, not so much, right? They wouldn't go past 4 years for Corbin Burns. He ended up leaving, ended up working out in the end. But what I really like about this is that this lineup, I mean, this is insane. You have Sammy Basallo batting ninth. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, think about that for a second. Basallo is batting ninth. He's one of the top prospects in all of Major League Baseball. You have Colton Cowser batting eighth. Dylan Beavers batting seventh. I mean, this is a ridiculous lineup. I think you could say easily a top 3 lineup in the American League. You got the Blue Jays, obviously. They got a lot of good bats over there, but holy cow, this lineup is insane. And Jackson Holliday, let's see if he can take another step forward this coming year. Obviously, he was one of the top prospects not too long ago. Westburg is a solid guy for Gunnar Henderson. We were talking about MVP conversation just a couple of years ago. I mean, insane. Pete Alonso batting fourth. I mean, look at the protection that Gunnar Henderson is going to have now. I mean, How are you going to picture this middle of the order? The fact that you got Gunnar there, and it's a lefty-righty matchup? Are you kidding me? This is insane. Absolutely insane. Good for the Baltimore Orioles to do this. I hate this as a Red Sox fan. I mean, my God. Well, what in the world is going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here from the winter meetings. I mean, look at the little view. I got the pool. I got the pool behind me. It's looking pretty decent here at the winter meetings here in sunny Orlando, Florida. But another big move here. We've had a couple of big moves the last couple of days. Kyle Schwarber, Edwin Diaz getting signed yesterday. Schwarber back to the Phillies, Diaz to the Dodgers. Now Alonso going to Baltimore. Great move. Great move. I mean, what else is there to say? There's really not a whole lot else to say. Let me see what you're all saying here in the chat. We got 700 people here in the chat. Thank you for coming in today. Yeah, back me up, Vito. That's a wild contract. Yeah, that is definitely pretty pricey. 5-year, 155. I mean, they went. I can't believe that. They really overpay. I think that is a bit of an overpay. I think, but I don't care. If you're the Orioles, you needed to get more thump in that order, right? You needed a little bit more there, especially, with that ballpark there. You needed guys that can clear that left field, right? You needed that power threat, more of a power threat. So Ward and Alonso now, that's nasty. That's insane. Really like that. But they definitely paid a pretty penny for it. That there's no doubt about that. Absolutely. 155 over 5, over $30 million per year. Like, that's crazy. Hey, all the credit to Pete Alonso, Scott Boras holding out. I didn't think they were going to get that much. I was thinking like a 5-year 120, something like maybe like 130. But for the Orioles, they're in a situation where they have a sense of urgency there. You're in this competitive window. You just had Harold Reynolds not too long ago, where was it, MLB Network? I can't remember the network exactly, but saying he thinks that they missed their window. A lot of people feel that way. You think the Orioles, they were in such a prime spot over the last couple of years with so much talent, with all these young guys coming up, and then they just fall flat this past year. Yes, a lot of injuries, but This is something they needed to do. They needed to throw down the dollars. You got the new ownership there in Baltimore. I mean, and it was just a matter of Mike Elias getting something done. And this is what they brought him there to do, right? To help develop that talent, but also, establish that roster, a little bit more, right? Add talent to all the young guys they had. This is a great move for the Baltimore Orioles. If you're an Orioles fan, don't even think twice about this contract. Who knows what it'll look like in the 4th and the 5th year, but you should be very happy about this. Not just because it makes your team better, but now you're back in that American League East. The Blue Jays took a massive step forward this past year. I mean, this is what you need to do when you have that huge core of talent. You needed this. The Orioles are back in business. They are back in the saddle. This is a great move. What do we got going on here in the chat? About 800 people here in the chat. Thank you so much for stopping by. Again, we are at the winter meetings, and we are on the makeshift setup here. Cogent Sports, Mets never made an offer. According to Joel Sherman saying the Mets never made an offer. Wow. Never made an offer. Is that true? Wow, the Mets didn't even make an offer. I mean, I've been on the record saying I think the Phillies or not the Phillies, the Mets. I think they're going to move on. That was kind of the writing on the wall to me. You go back to last offseason, they weren't really willing to go past like a 3-year deal with an opt-out. And David Stearns has come out and said, he wants to focus more on defense, more on the pitching. He definitely still has some work to do with the pitching there. But that to me, I saw that happening. I figured they were probably going to move on there. You got Vientos and Beatty in the fold. Could this open up a path for Kazuma Okamoto? That's what I wonder about for the Mets here. Could that be something that's on the table? A guy that brings you a little bit more versatility. He can play some first, he can play some third, maybe some left. So I could see the Mets maybe diving into that. We'll see. But the Mets, that's interesting. The fact that they never even made an offer, I think that says a lot. They were just ready to go. They were ready to move on. And, another thing, too, you've been seeing all the reports about, just, stuff in the clubhouse, and David Stearns is looking to kind of improve the chemistry within the team. And I'm not saying Alonso is any bit of that reason, but I think they were looking for a bit of a change, a bit of a different attitude there. So that's in the end, it's a great move for the Orioles. I think this is something they needed to do. I think they just had to pull the trigger, and they did. And they spent in a big way, yes, but this is a move they needed to make, in my opinion. Super chat coming in. Jimmy Productions, how you doing, my friend? $5. Thank you so much. As a Nationals fan, I'm hyped. Do you think the Orioles now include Kobe Mayo in the Mackenzie Gore trade? And this is interesting. This is interesting here because what is going to happen here with Kobe Mayo, Ryan Mountcastle? I mean, you got a full lineup. I mean, going back to the depth chart here, I mean, Ryan Mountcastle, Kobe Mayo, like there's nowhere for these guys to go. I mean, even at DH, I do think they should hang on to Rutschman. Personally, I think, Basayo, there's a couple of question marks there when it comes to the defense behind the plate. I think keeping Rutschman and hoping for a bounce-back season, I think Alonso coming in, that's another little thing that I think helps here, where he's going to take a bit of pressure off of a guy like Adley. Adley has been one of the better players in the game, but then, the last year and a half or so, just something happened, and I think this is going to help take some pressure off of him. So I think they end up keeping Adley. Yeah, you never know, right? There are a couple of teams out there that could use a catcher, but if you were to stick with Sammy and Adley, and then you find a way to move on, move off of Ryan Mountcastle, Kobe Mayo. Another interesting factor here, Tyler O'Neill. Are they going to be going with a bit of a platoon here? Like, I don't know, Tyler O'Neill's on a big contract. Do you platoon him? I mean, what happens with him now? Because your outfield, you got Taylor Ward, Dylan Beavers, and Colton Cowser. I don't know. Do they look to move the contract of Tyler O'Neill? That's going to be a hard one to move, but I wonder if they try to do that. They got a lot of guys in the fold, so they're going to have to figure something out here. But getting back to the Super Chat, Jimmy, someone like Kobe Mayo, a guy that has a lot of upside. He was a top prospect not too long ago. Absolutely. I think someone like Kobe Mayo could be used in some kind of a package. Now, will the Orioles and the Nationals trade with each other? That's been something over the last few years. They're in the same market there. They're competitive. Do they make a trade? But for the Nationals, I think you have to kind of put your ego down a little bit, right? You've taken a bit of a step back here. You got Taboni in the fold now. If you're the Nationals, I'm thinking, listen, hey, give us Kobe Mayo, maybe give us, another position player prospect or another young player there, maybe throw in one of the higher pitching prospects there, like someone like Mujica possibly. I think, there could be something there. I don't know, do they deal Ike Irish? Do they someone like Aloy? I think you could do a package for Gore. I think it's there. I think it makes a lot of sense because you do need more guys at the top of the rotation there. I think Gore's a nice fit. It's just a matter of, will they put the egos down and get a deal done, right? Because they just haven't really dealt with each other before. Derek, how you doing? $1.99. Where do the Red Sox pivot now? This is a very good question. Very good question, Derek. And we will be talking about this on Monster Territory tonight. This is definitely going to be a big topic here for the Red Sox. And I know this is about the Orioles fans. I'm not trying to make this about the Red Sox, but they are definitely in this picture here where they've been looking for a power bat. They've been looking for someone there in the middle of the order. And, I thought that was a nice fit. You could have had Casas come back, slide right into the DH spot. It was funny because yesterday, Alex Cora at the scrum, he was talking about Masataka Yoshida finally being healthy. So that to me said hey, we kind of like Masa here. And I don't know, that kind of said to me, are they going to try to move on from him? Or are they going to actually try to hang on to him instead of moving him, right? He's going to be a hard contract to move anyway. So, I don't know. That was interesting to me. But you could have had that scenario where Alonso's playing first. When Casas is ready to come back, he can slide back in. And then, but obviously that's off the table now. So I think for the Red Sox, where does the power come from now? Do they look at Kazuma Okamoto? That's a guy that I talked about for the Red Sox a little while back. And he's a guy that I could see fitting into that mold, right? What the Red Sox are looking for, right? Power bat from the right side, got some pop. He's a pull guy, very pull-heavy guy when it comes to the batted ball profile. has versatility. He can play some first, he can play some third, he can play some left. So I could see Okamoto being a fit, especially when it comes to the price point as well. Hey, the Red Sox, it's either the Red Sox, it's my way or the highway with them, right? They want to put an offer down. I'm curious to see what the offer was for Alonso. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get something out about that soon. But I wonder, did they want to go past the 4th year? I wonder if that came into play a little bit. The Orioles maybe wanted to give one more year. We'll see. We don't know that information yet. At least I haven't seen it. But Okamoto is going to be cheaper. He's going to be probably in that $15 to $20 million range. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. But Okamoto seems to be a guy that you could pivot to. Ketel Marte, he's been on the board here. He's been in the rumor mill the last couple of days. The Red Sox seem to be a great fit. I've personally been hearing a couple of things from a couple of different people here at the winter meetings that maybe there could be something in play there. Nothing substantial. Couldn't really get anything, verified on that. But a couple of different people were mentioning that the Red Sox could be in the picture there for Marte. And a couple of different names are getting thrown around. So we'll keep our eyes on that. I think Marte could be a realistic pivot here. And then the big name, though, Alex Bregman. I would imagine Bregman is going to be the guy that they're going to circle now, and they're going to make sure that he is coming back to Boston, because you can't have a scenario where you miss out on Alonso and then Bregman ends up going elsewhere. You cannot do that. There's no way. I've been saying from the get-go, I think Bregman is going to end up back in Boston one way or another, but that would be a nightmare situation if you don't have either of those guys. We'll see. We'll see on that. But I do think this opens up a path now for Bregman to come back to Boston. More so based off the money, right? Because we've had those reports that they only really want to spend on one of the bigger free agents. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I think Bregman, that seems more likely, a return to Boston. And then could you make a move for Marte? But then again, what happens with Meyer? Could you do something where you bring Bregman back, you trade for Marte, and then you're thinking what happens with Marcelo Meyer? Could you maybe send back Marcelo Meyer in a package? I don't know. Not sure what you do there, all right? Or do you just not go after Ketel Marte, or do you just go after Okamoto? Maybe you could look at a Jorge Polanco, possibly. There's a lot of different things the Red Sox can do here, but this definitely stings for a lot of Red Sox fans out there because they have been labeled as a popular landing spot for Alonso. We'll see. I think we had another super chat coming in. Jimmy Productions, Maximus Clark, thank you for that super chat. Jimmy, Cody Bellinger or Nolan Arenado for the Red Sox? I don't think either of them. I think it's Bregman. I don't really see Bellinger being a fit. Honestly, they already have too many outfielders. I don't think they're going to bring in a lefty bat for first base. I think if they brought in Alonso, you'd have that righty bat, and then because with Casas, when eventually he comes back, that becomes kind of moot at that point. And Bellinger's not going to go into the outfield. They have too many outfielders. And Arenado, they're going to want to keep Bregman there instead. So we'll see. But everybody, I am going to wrap it up right there. Just a quick reaction stream here. Nothing too crazy. Jimmy Productions, one more super chat, $2. Thank you, my friend. I'm sure the Padres would trade Bogaerts to the Red Sox. I'm sure they'd love to get rid of the contract, but I don't think the Red Sox are going to be taking that on. So I don't know about that one. But the Padres, hey, I've seen A.J. Preller walking around the lobby here quite a bit. Saw Chaim Bloom last night. I was trying to snag a picture with him, and I was not able to. He was talking to Tony La Russa last night. I did not want to interrupt that conversation. That looked like a pretty neat conversation they were having. Anyway, but that's it for here, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to wrap it up right there. If you can on the way out, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.